Hari Om. Let's start with a prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. Before we go, someone asked on the YouTube, the slokas that we are chanting as the prayer slokas, what do they really mean? So just for a brief account, the first one is Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. This is a part of the slokas that written by Swami Chinmayananda on Gurudev Shri Chinmayananda. So this statement says Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam. So he is of the nature of Karunamayam, that means full of compassion, and he is always thinking of Samasta Jana Kalyanam for the upliftment of every human being in the world. So if you look at the Chinmaya Mission programs, there are varieties and varieties of programs, starting from the social services, from the Bala Vihar, from the Yuva Kendra, and even Ruddhashrama, as well as the teaching goes on. So in all fronts, if you look at it, there are programs, there are organizations, and there is a support all over wherever there is possible. And therefore, Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam, all the time, he is always thinking of how to uplift the society so that they can see the glory of our rishis, how they have propagated, and he himself started the sadhana, the Sandipani sadhanalayas, where the brahmacharis or those who have enough logical, at least those who are graduates, are admitted into the course, and there's an intensive course of 2.5 years of Monday through to Sunday, all 7 days, and continuously, where it's a residential school, and one transforms as though, and after the course is over, they are given a choice whether to work within the mission or they want to continue their own life. And those who want to work this one, they are given a brahmachari diksha, and they later become swamis, and the whole structure is established. And if you look, there are so many swamis and so many brahmacharis propagating this philosophy of Vedanta that's passed down from generation to generation, all the way starting from Lord Krishna. So in the second sloka, we are praying the Jagat Guru, Lord Krishna himself, and since the Gita and all the Upadesasara comes from the Lord, and therefore Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Sri Narayanam. So old Narayana himself came down in the form of Krishna to teach the humanity via Partha, via the Arjuna, who is born of Prithvi, that's called Partha, means born of earth, is essentially just like anybody else, and that is the teaching from that. So we revere the Jagat Guru, the teacher of all teachers, and that's Lord Krishna. So the first sloka is the respect to my own teacher, and the second sloka is respect of all teachers, who himself comes in the form of local teacher. So all that is implied in the second sloka. So says that is a Devaki Nandanaha, he is the darling child of Devaki. At the same time, he is Jagat Guru, who is also the universal teacher. So the teaching of Gita itself, a universal teaching. It's not just for the Hindus, it is a universal teaching applicable for humanity, and therefore whether it's a past, present, or it is essential truth as being declared by the Krishna. So logical, at the same time, the truth is beyond the logic. It is a Brahma Vidya, at the same time, Yoga Shastra. How I can invoke to reach that state is also given, because it's a teaching to a man of action who is an army fellow, and so that he can, even while doing your own wars, one can uplift your mind and reach the highest. That is the essence of the Gita Upadesha. And it is the essence of the whole Upanishads is being taught there. Therefore, we respect the teachers, and all the way from the teachers, all the Guru Parampara and your own teacher, and that's what the two slokas. And the third sloka is supposed to have written by or sung by Gandhari in the Mahabharata. It is Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva, and this is the last sloka in the Guru Stotram also. People chant, and this is statement is, you are Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva. So you are the father, you are the mother, you are the friend, and you are everything, including the knowledge and everything, and you are Tvameva Sarvam, but you are everything that I can see is essentially a surrendering to the teacher. There is nothing really belongs to me, including this body, mind and intellect. That is called Sharanagati, or that's called surrendering in, so that the teaching can become effective. Tvameva Mata means you are the father, and also one can look at it way, I see you in my father, I see you in my mother, I see you in my friend, I see you in everything also that I transact with, including the wealth also. Dravinam Tvameva and Tvameva Sarvam. So I want to see you everywhere, and that becomes a knowledge also. So all that is implied in the first three slokas that we chant, and in the end sloka we start as Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vasishyate. This is from the Upanishad, Santipada, but this self, a whole Vedanta is packed in that statement. Purnam Idam means this is infinite. So this stands for the entire universe. So this is infinite. So creation is infinite. Therefore, we are discussing right now. And Purnam Adaha, Ada means that which is different from Idam, and there is only Adam that is different from Idam is Aham, because I am the one who pointing out everything. So Aham also Purnam is also infinite, and there cannot be two infinities, because then both will be limiting each other and neither will be infinite. So therefore, Purnat Purnamudachyate, from infinity, infinity came as though. So infinite plus minus infinity is infinity. So it's mathematically precise. At the same time, there is a deep philosophical significance of the whole Vedanta is packed in that sloka also. And that in fact is the interpretation of that only, the whole Ishavasya Upanishad, and interpretation of Ishavasya Upanishad is the whole Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. All that is implied. And these are the slokas that we chant before and concluding sloka, and that's just because someone asked the question and we should know what we are doing. So with an understanding, if we do it, then the prayer also will become meaningful. Now we are discussing the fundamentals of Advaita Vedanta, because we are come to a stage where the teacher is teaching what is causing this bondage, how does it get established. So how does it get established and what's causing? The problem is, it is avidya. So the root cause of even whole thing is ignorance is the problem. So what ignorance of what? This is called the Mula Avidya, the fundamental ignorance. Hari Om, there was an interruption, so we'll continue the talk. So this, we are addressing the fundamentals of Advaita Vedanta, and it rests on basically one becoming a many. So one cannot become many, but there is an apparent creation. So we'll go to the basic for that is, the Acharya says that is due to avidya. Avidya means not knowing who I am. I am taking what I am not as I am, and that is the fundamental problem, and therefore all other problems arises because of this, the fundamental ignorance, which is called a Mula Avidya. Now the question is this avidya becomes a basis for the bondage. That's why ko nama bandhaha katamesha Agataha katam pratishtaha. So how did it, what is bondage and how did it come and how did it get firmly rooted? And that's why avidya is brought in. Avidya means ignorance is brought in, and ignorance of what? The ignorance of my own self, and this is called the self-ignorance. And since I do not know who I am, I take myself, I am not what I am. I am not what I am is I am taking as I am. That means I am taking this as a body as I am, mind I am, intellect I am, and all this because of which these BMI, body, mind, intellect are being limited. I don't like limitations because intrinsically I am infinite. Therefore, I want to solve a problem, and all my pursuits, life after life, is solving this problem. Therefore, this is how the bondage is. So, from the Advaita point, the root cause is avidya. Now, that's being criticized exhaustively by other acharyas, so that's why we are going to have a clear understanding of what this really means. Why we need to bring avidya, why there is there any alternative explanations, and all that need to be clear. So we started with the statement that scripture says what was there before creation is Brahman. Brahman means infiniteness, and it is of the nature of which is pure existence and consciousness. And this is a scriptural statement, Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is infinite, and we mentioned it is provided in a converse way. That means it is necessary and sufficient, and Shankara calls it as Swarupa Lakshanam. That's what mathematically you call it as a necessary and sufficient, but it's not really a qualification, but it is the essence of the Brahman itself. And being Brahman, infinite, that means limitless, and therefore Anantam. Anantam means Antam means infinite, Anantam means infinite, and being infinite, it is essentially Ananda Swarupam, because any limitations causes suffering. This we need to understand. Therefore, Satchit Ananda is same as Satchit, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, and that is Brahman. And Brahman is undifferentiated. There is no distinctions of any kind. It's a uniform existence, because there cannot be any difference in the existence, or there cannot be any difference in the consciousness. And if there is a difference in the consciousness, then who will know that? Then there has to be another consciousness which knows the difference in this consciousness. And that consciousness which is aware of the difference in other consciousness has to be pure, that means without any difference. So ultimately we have to come to a stage, and that is the highest, and that is called supreme, and that's called para, that is supreme knowledge of the Brahman itself, and that is prajnana ghanam, that means undifferentiated consciousness. Now we are talking about then how did I see creation, or where did the creation come? So the creation from the point of infinity, we said there cannot be any creation, because infinite cannot undergo a modification, since creation involves a modification. So from Brahman point, there is no creation at all. So, but I see a creation. That is a problem. Since I am seeing a creation, and the one who is seeing a creation is questioning, where did it come from, how did it come from, where did I come from, and why am I here, why am I struggling? All this is by a jiva, an individual who is already in the creation and engulfed by the creation, and questioning about the validity of the creation, and is there something beyond that. So the whole teaching is not for Brahman. Whole teaching is the one who has the misconceptions about himself and the world. So it is for the jiva only the explanations are. So these explanations are relative and valid at that level only. From the point of pure Brahman, there is no difference of anything. No word can reach there, and that's what the scriptures also says so. So that words cannot reach there, mind cannot reach there. Says that this return back, that's what is essentially. So namanaha, so navak gacchati namanaha. Neither speech can go there, nor the mind can go there, because mind can only objectify things, and it's not an object, it's a very subject itself, and therefore it cannot analyze what is Brahman. And words is only is an explanation of something, therefore it cannot point out something, because very pointing out is objectification. Then how does the scripture says? Scripture is trying to teach us in a very indirect way, and that's called Lakshyartham, is trying to point us to look in the direction, and there we have to use as specified by the Vedanta to see the truth as the truth, and in that truth the knowledge has to take place. We go into this detail because this has been extensively criticized by other acharyas also. So we should have a clear understanding of what Advaita stands for, what are the fundamental postulates, and are they valid, or why other acharyas criticizing, or their criticisms are really valid also. Then only we'll have a firm understanding, and that's what we need as the teaching itself, as in the Advanced Vedanta. That's why we are taking a little detour from the text and trying to find out what exactly this avidya means. It may come back later, but we should have clear understanding so that no one can question us, or we will not be shaken by any questions on this basis. So the first we said is creation cannot be real. Why? Brahman, who is infinite, cannot undergo recreation. So what is real? We define real is that which is trikala abhaditam, that which never changes at any time. So nityam, that is eternally, that which remains the same all the time, alone is absolutely real. So this has to be clear, because the other acharyas, when they criticize it, they miss this point or they ignore this point. So therefore, from the point of what is real, from the Advaita definition is, real is that which is nityam, or that alone is satyam, and that which is alone is real, which never undergoes any change. And infinite cannot undergo any change. So the Brahman alone fits into this definition, and any finite undergoes a change, therefore they do not fit into this change. And the world itself is continuously changing. What was thousands of years ago is different from what is right now. So everything is changing, and therefore they do not fit into the definition of real. And we also said they do not fit into the definition of unreal also. Why? Unreal is that which we cannot experience at any time. So therefore one does not undergo any change at any time. That is nityam, which is satyam. Sat means that is the truth. And the truth is alone, that which never changes. If I keep changing my words, then you say I am lying. So it's not a truth. So truth is that which is firm, remains the same all the time. And that which is non-existent, that is which is not real at all. So unreal is that which has no locus for existence. And we gave an example of Vandhya Putraha, the son of a barren woman. So then what about the world? So world is not like the first one, which is unchanging, because Jagat itself, the word itself, Jagat means Jayate Gachyate, that which continuously changes. That itself is the meaning of the word, because it continuously changes. We can see the child is growing from the childhood, from the point of the conception of a cell all the way to a gigantic human being, and ultimately the Asti, Jayate, Vardhate, so all 6 modifications of the body, ultimately Vinasyati, he dies. So this continuously, that which is born has to die. That which has a change will continue to change. Jatasyahi dhruvo mritsyuhu. That's what the statement of Krishna. And he says, if everything is going to change, why are you crying? If my nose, every time I sneeze, if my nose is going to fall down, then how am I going to worry about it? So I have to leave it. So in the same way, this whole world is continuously changing, so I cannot hold on to it and ask it to keep same, because that is expecting something which is not real. And therefore, what is real is Brahman alone is real, and Brahman is infinite. So whatever I see, therefore, neither real nor unreal. So therefore, we call it a third category, and this is the fundamental of the Advaita Vedanta. It's called a mithya. Mithya means that which is neither real and not real. And that's how we defined even the Viveka Chudamani, Sannapya Sanna Ubhayatmikano. We cannot say it exists, we cannot say it doesn't exist, and that's real. Oh, there is no third category of this type. If that's what the scripture, that's what the Acharyas, they criticize Advaita Vedanta. So we have to be very careful. Their criticism is not really valid because they also accept a ontological status of different degrees of reality. Only they criticize when we say it's a mithya, but they assume that that's also real and this is also real, but they have degrees of reality. So same thing, but they put it in a different words. So we have to be careful when we say, when the word say mithya, mithya is, it is neither real nor unreal. Oh, we don't have that's a category at all, because it should be either real or it should be unreal. There is nothing in between, and there's a contradiction in terms. But that's not true, because we have to know the definition of real is Brahman alone, because that which never undergoes a change. So we should have the clear understanding from what point we are referring to. From that absolute point, there cannot be any change, and that alone is real. So therefore, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma alone is that which satisfies the requirement, that is never changing, Nityam. And that which has no existence is similar to the son of a barren woman, Vandhyaputraha. Therefore, there is no way I can experience. The classical example I give, at least, is Gaga Bubu. Have you seen Gaga Bubu? So I don't know what Gaga Bubu is. I don't know either. But have you seen it? So how can I see? Unless I know what it is. So therefore, there is no attributes of what exactly Gaga Bubu looks like. I had to tell you its definition in terms of attributes, and I can only tell in terms of attributes, provided attributes have some locus for it and all that. Excuse me. Therefore, we have to have an understanding. And say word is mithya. Mithya means not an illusion, because that's how they define it and then criticize it. It's not an illusion because it's an experience. So when it's experience, but it is not real from the absolute point. It is only real from the relative point. There is no such a thing is really not valid even from the experience point. Therefore, criticizing the Advaita Vedanta that there is no mithya vastu in the word itself is wrong, because the one who is criticizing himself is using the words that they are itself is mithya. So we have to be very careful here in terms of when we say what is real, what is unreal, and what is mithya. So unfortunately, sometimes the asat is being used in the context of either it's a mithya or it is unreal. So one has to be careful under what context the word asat is being used. So asatem, asatoma, sadgamaya, asatoma, sadgamaya. When you say statement asatoma, sadgamaya means please lead me from non-existent to existence. That's a statement. But how can non-existence become existent? That means non-existence can never come into existence. That's what asato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sadaha. Krishna's statement, that which exists can never cease to exist. That which is non-existent can never come into existence. So when we say asatoma, sadgamaya, please lead me from non-existent to existent, there is an inherent problem there, because non-existent cannot come into existence. That's a contradiction. That's not possible. So how can we ask the Lord to do impossible to possible? So obviously there asat is being used in terms of not as a non-existent, but existent, apparently existing, because of mithya. Please lead me to the understanding of what is satyam. So how does mithya can become a satyam? Because every mithya has to have a substantive which is satyam. And that's what we'll go into analyze now. This is how Brahman became many itself is due to Maya. So Maya is that which makes apparently real, but what is there is only Brahman only, but appears to be different. Therefore, Adhishthana means the substantive of everything in this universe is nothing but Brahman. If it is not Brahman, we have a problem, because we have something other than Brahman, and therefore Brahman cannot be Brahman, because Brahman means infiniteness. So in the infiniteness, there cannot be any divisions, or there cannot be exclusions, or there cannot be any inclusions also, because it is homogeneous, pure, existent consciousness alone. All that is implied, but at the same time, when the scripture says, let me become many, so himself became many. Who is that himself? That's where Advaita brings into a picture, when the Brahman, who is infinite, as though, quote unquote, is becoming many, and that is where the Ishvara comes into picture. So in the Advaita Vedanta, we have two levels, as though at the transactional level, at the Vyavaharika Satyam, we have Ishvara, who is a creator, and that's a Lord, and all the attributes that all other people associate belongs to the Ishvara. From Brahman, pure, infinite, existent consciousness, infinite cannot have any attributes because it's infinite. So not that we are, it's a blasphemy statement, it is nirgunaha, nirakaraha, so it's a nityam. Therefore that which is eternal cannot have any modifications and any attributes also, because attributes belong to only finite object. So from the Advaita point, Brahman, pure Brahman, or we say word is pure, we use it from the statement is actually from the Paramarthika Satyam, that means the highest reality. So Param means that which is highest, that from the Paramarthika Satyam, Brahman alone is, and all these discussions have no relevance. So the realization, the problem, the samsara and jnanam, ajnanam, Vedanta, everything comes under the lower level of where there is a creation, and the one who sees the creation, and one so identifies, I am only local entity, all the problems belong to him. So from pure consciousness, we said there is no creation. Also pure consciousness is infinite, therefore consciousness alone infinite, and if there is a creation from that, how can the consciousness become unconscious entity? Because whatever the source, the product has to have the same thing. So therefore, if creation is there and which is of infinite consciousness, then it cannot become inert things at all also. So therefore, the creation cannot be real, because pure consciousness cannot really become unconscious entities. So therefore that's a contradiction again. Therefore from that point also there cannot be creation. So Prajnanam Brahma is a statement, consciousness is infinite. So it's not that the Lord is consciousness, it is infiniteness is consciousness, or consciousness is infinite, and it cannot become a finite unconscious entities. Therefore it's only apparent creation but not real creation. All that need to be understood. So when we're talking about how did this creation come, how did it get established, all that he's talking about the avidya, and avidya has the avarana shakti and vikshepa shakti. We need to have a clear understanding of what is this avidya is, and what is the source of avidya, and what is the difference between avidya and maya. All this is getting confusion if we don't have a clear understanding of it. We'll go into more details about the avidya and the maya, and in the next talk. Here we stop it. Let's do Purnamada. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Enna 20 acha